There was startling word as of late has been expansion. The numbers that emerged for January were disastrous. In any case, the Fed quiet everybody somewhere near expressing that there will bring rates up in March. That appeared to be in the boat since letting expansion out of hands isn't a joke. There are innumerable of instances of nations that played the rondo with expansion, yet wound up with excessive inflation that annihilated whole economies. The cash is the foundation of any economy. In the event that it's not oversaw as expected, everything will fall. Indeed, even basic double-digit expansion is a gigantic arrangement. Since that oddities out financial backers envision sitting on a heap of abundance of $100 million and you intend to contribute it after some time. In any case, expansion is 10% before the year's over. The genuine worth of your abundance will be $90 million. Losing $10 million to simply clutching your money for a year is a fiasco that makes genuine frenzy on the lookout. That pushes financial backers to continue to purchase resources that are expansion safe, which spikes costs higher and makes an air pocket that farther ascends expansion. It's an endless cycle. Looking at the situation objectively, January's 7.5% expansion rate isn't precise since lodging stir up the greatest lump of individuals' pay, well makes a little level of the customer cost file when expansion numbers are driven from. So the genuine expansion is higher for a great many people. Furthermore, presently with the attack of Ukraine, that number is simply going to rise. Most importantly, oil costs are ascending since that makes shortage of oil on the lookout, which influences the costs of in a real sense everything. It makes it significantly more hard to settle the all-around confounded store network issue that has been broken by the worldwide pandemic. The request in Ukraine wasn't in anybody's arrangement, yet since it worked out, the Fed needs to think of it as raising loan costs. We'll simply drive the country into stagflation. That is the point at which the costs continue rising, yet the economy quits developing. So the inquiry is, how would it be advisable for you to safeguard your abundance against expansion? What sort of resources would it be a good idea for you to purchase and how to continue to develop your abundance? Regardless of how high expansion is, on the off chance that you're prepared, offer this video a go ahead and buy in. Number 1, profit stocks. What's a definitive objective of any business to bring in cash, regardless of whether you like it? In the event that the business isn't creating cash, then it's not reasonable. Regardless of whether it has a $100 billion market cap, we can esteem organizations however much we need, yet how might they help their investors on the off chance that they aren't bringing in cash? Also, what's the assurance that they will make do from now on? That is the very thing makes profit stocks so not the same as the rest, particularly those which are known as the Lord of Profits. These are the organizations that have been expanding their profits for more than 50 years. They've made do, wars, downturns, expansions, and so on. That stock value don't necessarily proceed as incredible as tech organizations. For instance, however they actually draw typically higher than expansion, and yet, give you the income you really want. In the event that these organizations could build their profits for more than 50 years, what makes you feel that they will stop in the approaching future? For that reason, there are the absolute best resources for hold in your munitions stockpile. A great many people investigate the securities exchange as the best way to contribute their reserve funds. In any case, the financial exchange isn't generally the most ideal choice. You have undeniably a larger number of choices than you understand. Number 2, government bond. I hate securities since they generally have the most reduced pace of return. Notwithstanding, out of the relative multitude of ventures, government bonds at the most dependable for your administration cling to default. They in control you as government needs to fail. That United States is the world's most impressive and stable economy. In the event that it goes down, the world economy goes down. That is the reason they're considered as the most secure speculations of all time. Security rate have an opposite relationship with loan fees. Assuming that financing costs rise, security costs drop as well as the other way around on the grounds that higher loan fees make different speculations more appealing, which brings down the interest for bonds and lower financing costs make bonds more alluring. They're not the most ideal kind of revenue, yet a ton of rich individuals go to unresolved issues in some measure part of their resources safe and allow them to develop at a rate that is somewhat higher than expansion. In the short run, They don't necessarily in all cases beat expansion, yet long-term, they have ended up being expansion confirmation. Number 3, income organizations. Since the start of the web upheaval, financial backers began to think often less about the real benefits business with MEG and are centered around the worth of the stocks. Be that as it may, paying little mind to how much your stocks are worth. You want cash on the table to spend on your necessities and needs. To that end, a great deal of expert financial backers care about the income. How much money does a specific business creates? There aren't numerous choices with regards to cash-producing resources, other than profit stocks that we have examined as of now. However, once in a while being an accomplice in a little customary business, similar to a supermarket, is far superior than holding a lot of stocks that create no money. A supermarket is only one model. Obviously, they really do require some degree of the executives. However, in the event that you have dependable accomplices, it ought not be nothing to joke about. Number 4, shared assets. In September 2021, Facebook stock cost was $378. Facebook was one of the quickest developing stocks since the start of the pandemic. Be that as it may, over the most recent half year, the stock fell by 45%. It in a real sense tumbled to the pre-pandemic level as though it acquired nothing out of really low rates and forceful security buys by the Fed. For that reason, common supports exist. They take financial backers' cash and put them in the wide scope of protections. From stocks to issues that remains to be worked out domain. There are 1 million kinds of shared reserve, from value assets to pay finance. There are reserves that put resources into specific areas. Others contribute in view of the size of the organizations, and some put resources into everything. My most loved are files subsidizes that have been in the market to the point of having some history, but at the same time it's vital to focus on the charges they gather. Flexible investments, for instance, have an extremely high charge, yet seldom beat the market. Vanguard S&P 500 list is awesome. As I would see it, they have the least charges ever and have shown to be expansion confirmation. They have a history of north of 60 years where they had returned a memorable annualized average return of around 10.5% since its 1957 beginning through 2021. I for one keep a major lump of my interests in the S&P 500 and add to it each and every month. Number 5, land. I was unable to complete this video without the land. The housing market is so old. It's hard to develop anything new in this market. In any case, precisely the same thing makes it stable. It is generally out execution connection long-term. Solid information on the worth of the land in the US is somewhat milky before the 1920s. As per the case, Schiller lodging record, the normal annualized pace of return for lodging expanded 3.7% somewhere in the range of 1928 and 2013. The expansion changed value increase over a similar period have been 1.9%. Obviously, it isn't quite so incredible as the financial exchanges, yet as we have examined before, land isn't just about cost appreciation. It's additionally about capital and a spot to live. The worth that it gives in general is undeniably more than the cost appreciation. However, regardless of whether we take cost appreciation alone, we have an adequate number of information starting around 1920 that demonstrates that it has generally beat expansion. Certain individuals could say that this time it is unique. Expansion is really high, however, harking back to the 1980s, expansion was pretty much as high as 13.5%. Double the number it is today. It is typical when we have periods when expansion is higher than ordinary, in light of the fact that different times it is lower than ordinary. Somewhere in the range of 2013 and 2016, it was around 1.5%. What improves everything even is assuming that you have a home loan on your home, particularly assuming that you have a genuinely good rate, since over the long haul, cost appreciation beats expansion. Simultaneously, the income that it creates will take care of the obligation. If you found this video helpful, make sure to give it a thumb up and share with your friend. Thank you for watching.